Brothers, I've been telling you to stop approaching women in these streets, and today, I just saw a sign that I was right and an indication of what's to come. You guys need to realize that this is not the 90s anymore, and what you could do in those times will become criminal in this new world agenda that will be supported by Gen Z and young millennials. Gone are the days of catcalling women. Gone are the days of complimenting women. At this point, let's hold a funeral for game and cold approach because, from what I saw, almost any in-person interaction can put you behind bars depending on the woman and the context of the interaction. I genuinely believe what we're about to go over in this article will be something that many countries slowly adopt, and when that happens, game artists will have to give game and cold approaching a proper send-off. So gents, this is what I have to say to you: stop cold approaching women or giving them attention in public. Hold your head straight and keep it moving. If you want to look at women, then get a subscription girlfriend or start scrolling on Instagram if that's what you really want to do. You don't have to listen. As a matter of fact, you can do whatever you want. But if this law affects you and you get thrown in the clink, it's your fault. Don't cry to whoever will be the content creator you're watching or your favorite game artist for bail money when you get a false allegation or violate the law. That's all I have to say if you don't want to listen. And to be honest, it's your life at the end of the day, so it's up to you to make the best decisions for your life. But I just hope after watching this video, you will be more mindful of your interactions with ex-exes even if this doesn't affect you currently. With that said, the solution to this problem will be to avoid women in public. Don't pay them any attention, don't trouble them, don't even stare at them. Keep all interactions with women at a minimum, and don't send off any vibe like you are attracted to them in any way. That is what I do. As such, I am invisible to 100% of women I find attractive, but I don't get in trouble with the law and risk losing my freedom. You guys might think I'm a loser, but at least I don't get thrown in the guillotine because I said something or looked at someone who didn't like me, and they called the cops on me for being creepy or a pedophile. It's not a game out here in these streets, and I hope you guys are starting to see that and make the necessary adjustments so you don't have to lose your freedom. The worst part is you don't have to even cold approach a woman to get thrown in the clink. Some women in public may be hormonal or in a bad mood, and you might look at them the wrong way, and that's all it takes for them to call the cops on you. It has happened many times before, and many men lost their jobs and freedoms because of a lie that an ex told because she was in a pissy mood, so I hope you guys are taking that seriously. I will say it again, do not approach or cold approach modern women in public. Leave them alone, let them dress how they want to and do what they want to. Hold your head straight and keep it moving. That's all the warnings I'm going to give, the rest is up to you. And you can't say I didn't give you any solutions if you want to look at women. The Soul Society and Instagram are wide open. You can see free pictures on Instagram, and you can get the woman delivered to you at your door and see her in person, so I don't want to hear the BS. The days of approaching women are dead, so just accept it and move on. Today we will be going over an article by the BBC News, Fair Use, and it's titled, Street Harassment to be Banned in Crackdown, Government Says. Yes, I know it's not the United States, but who to tell that this law won't pass in the States very soon? Gents, buckle up your seatbelt because this will leave some of you speechless, especially if you live in England. Let's dive in. Sexual harassment on the street will be made a crime with jail sentences of up to 2 years, the government has said. Catcalling, following someone and blocking their path, will be criminalized in England under plans backed by the Home Secretary. Every woman should feel safe to walk our streets, Suella Braverman said. Sexual harassment is already illegal, but it is hoped creating a new offense for street harassment will encourage more people to report it to the police. We are putting the needs of victims at the heart of our decision, which will mean the criminals who commit these acts face the consequences they deserve, Miss Braverman said. Alright gents, there's a lot to unpack there, but as you can see, basically what they said was if an ugly dude approaches a woman, they'll be thrown in jail. Hey, I don't know what you guys heard, but that's what I heard them say. If you are not a Chad, Tyrone, or a high-status man, approaching the wrong woman can land you a night in a jail cell and, if found guilty, up to 2 years in prison. Bloody hell, what on earth is going on in England? I feel sorry for my melanated brubs because they are the ones who mainly catcall women and try to spit that game on 304s. What about pickup artists and goofy game dudes? They are effed when this law passes because I guarantee women will abuse it to ensure that the men they don't want attention from get a double dose of reality. What I want to know is how they will be able to know if a woman is lying on a man or not. How will they know the legit cases from the false accusations? That's what I want to know because we already know that women abuse calling cops on men already, and in most cases, the man is innocent. So how do you prove that a man didn't catcall, follow, or block a woman's path? Basically, it's your words against hers unless a surveillance camera can capture the interaction. Men, I never thought I would have to say this, but here it goes. If you live in England, buy a body camera and make sure it records you everywhere you go outside in public. There, I said it. That is where we are today, gents. I want you to let that sink in before you start snorting copium. You cannot say anything to a woman in public without the fear of getting the cops called on you and losing your freedom. And even if nothing ever happens, the fact that it will always be in the back of your head and you know you have to walk on eggshells in public around women says everything about where you stand in society. Let's continue. A survey by pollsters YouGov for the BBC, published in March, suggested 2/3 of women did not feel safe walking alone at night, at least some of the time. According to the Crown Prosecution Service CPS, females under 34 are most likely to be the target of sexual offenses, but the least likely to report them. The Crown Prosecution Service, which decides whether to take cases to court, recently updated its advice to staff about street harassment. The new guidelines also cover offenses like exposure, stalking, and sexual assault. The deletion of Sarah Everard, who was abducted and had her life subscription permanently cancelled by a serving policeman while walking home in South London last year, has also increased concerns over women's safety and attitudes towards women. 6 months later, primary school teacher Sabina Nessa, 28, was shadow-reeled in South London by a man she had never met. The government will now back legislation tabled by former Business Secretary Greg Clark. Mr. Clark said the intention of the bill is to reinforce a change in the culture that establishes that it is completely unacceptable to abuse women in the streets. Well, gents, look at how far the pendulum has swung in favor of women. Now, I don't condone any harm against XXs, and you guys better make sure you walk away from women or start recording the moment things look like it's about to pop off. But this law is BS. It doesn't protect men from getting falsely accused, and that's the problem. Every woman knows that they should not be out in public late at night, so why don't we tell them to walk in groups or stay off the streets if it's late at night and they are alone? Women aren't dumb. They know it's dangerous to be alone at night, so where is the accountability? The same thing goes for men. Most men know that they can't be out here in these streets alone and without protection late at night, so what are we even talking about? That's common sense. Men get robbed and snuffed out all the time when they get caught lacking in these streets, but where are the outrage and laws to protect us? Man, I told you guys they don't care, and this is more evidence right here. Let's continue. During a debate in the House of Commons, Mr. Clark said, "Public sexual harassment can affect men and boys, but we should be clear that it disproportionately affects women and girls." The backbenchers bill aims to criminalize deliberately walking closely behind someone as they walk home at night, making obscene or aggressive comments towards a person, making obscene or offensive gestures towards a person, obstructing a person's path, driving or riding a vehicle slowly near to a person making a journey. As it stands, the bill will also introduce harsher sentences, increasing the maximum sentences from 6 months to 2 years. Gents, any one of those offenses can be taken out of context, and that's what I'm talking about. How can you prove that the so-called offender had ill intentions or did any of these things? How do you prove that you're innocent if a woman lies or takes your actions out of context? They have nothing set in place, so this is yet again another law to punish men and not hold women accountable. That's how I see it, and I feel sorry for the men in England. I say avoid women in public and go your own way. Don't do anything to upset them or make them think you want anything to do with them. Keep it moving, guys. That's the best way to ensure you don't have to spend 2 years in prison for doing nothing wrong. Continuing. Campaigners have also called for wolf whistling and staring intently to be criminalized. In July, then Home Secretary Priti Patel launched a consultation on making street harassment a specific crime. The Home Office has now concluded it should be introduced after the significant majority of respondents were in favor. Earlier this year, the independent government advisor for tackling violence against women and girls, Ninko Ali, claimed the government had blocked the legislation. Labour's Shadow Home Secretary, Yet Cooper, welcomed the government backing a new law. She said, "Any action to tackle the epidemic of violence against women and girls is welcome, but the government must now go further and faster." The Home Office, the government department in charge of policing, recently launched a campaign encouraging people to call out harassment. It's called Enough, and you might have seen posters for it popping out on public transport over the past month or so. The adverts, mainly aimed at men, suggest ways for people to intervene if they see someone being harassed. At least the government had some sense in that instance. This is what happens when progressive XXs get to make significant decisions in this world. All they want to do is penalize men for everything they don't like. But I hope that after this is all said and done, when someone close to them gets falsely accused of the law that they pushed, they can hold that L. I hope they can sleep well at night knowing that an innocent man close to them gets to sleep in prison for 2 years because of their decisions and actions. This is what I hope will happen to all those women and men fighting to get these laws passed. All I can say is to protect yourselves and wear a body cam if you live in England. And if you live in countries tied to England or womanism-infested countries, this might be your reality very soon. So stop approaching and interacting with modern women or strangers out in public if it isn't necessary. Again, avoid approaching women or staring at them. Hold your head straight and keep it moving. On the screen is part 1 of this video that gives you more strategies to make sure you don't get in trouble with the law because of a woman out in public. So click it right now to learn what not to do.